Hi, my name is Kim, and this YouTube presentation is part of the Fundamentals of Emergency Management course. This presentation is going to be about instructional learning systems and its impact on emergency management training. Topics include instructional systems design process, adult learning theory, and emergency management training and learning. Instructional design is the process of designing education and training courses. There are 5 phases in this process. They are analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. In the first phase of analysis, there should be some kind of a needs analysis conducted so that knowledge, skills, and attitudes that are needed by people in the workforce are included into the learning model. Second, the structure of a course, including a syllabus, outline, and schedule of the course, is designed. Third, course curriculum and training activities are formulated. It is very important that during this phase, the learning model that emergency managers learn from has in it adult learning theory principles. Then, the learning model is taught to emergency managers and emergency service responders. In a course or training session, the content delivery can be through a variety of mechanisms like classroom setting, distance learning, and field exercises. After the course is conducted, students evaluate what they learned and they evaluate the method by which they learned. Evaluation identifies aspects of a learning model or program that can be revamped. The majority of emergency managers and emergency service responders are adults. Much of the information in this theory is built on ideas from the work of Malcolm Knowles. He focused on andragogy, which is the art and science of helping adults learn. Included are 5 main ideas about adult learning. First, adults are self-directed learners. This means that as people mature, they desire less to depend on a teacher and they prefer to have more responsibility of the method they learn by. Second, adults have more life experience from a variety of things. Adults value their own experiences and they value the experiences of other people too. They want to be able to integrate life experiences into the way they learn. Third, another principle of adult learning is that as people mature, their inclination towards learning shifts from learning about subjects to one of problem solving. And as a person matures, his time perspective changes from one of postponed application of knowledge to immediacy of application. Adults prefer to learn only about what they will need to know for how to achieve a task in the near future. This means adults want to learn about they want to know how to do something to achieve a task in the near future. A fifth principle is that as people become more mature, their readiness to learn becomes oriented increasingly to the development tasks of social roles. To effectively train emergency managers, teaching styles should be provided that best meet the adult learner characteristics just described. Here are some ways courses and training sessions should be developed. In the classroom setting, the teacher should be more of a facilitator or orchestrator of group dialogue rather than spending the entire class time lecturing to lecturing. Group dialogue is a good way to allow people to relate how their experiences have led them to solve problems in certain ways or to have certain perspectives. Case studies are another way to teach emergency managers and emergency service workers. In fact, the book we are learning from in this course is teaching through case study method. Case studies are more or less detailed accounts of situations, and then a student is able to evaluate the situation and get a clearer idea of outcomes. Simulation exercises and role-playing exercises allow adults to practice how they are going to respond to something in a real-life scenario. This way, roles and responsibilities are understood and people will be able to see what things can be improved on as well. Problem solving scenarios are kind of like case studies, but the author of a problem solving scenario has the ability to adjust the complexities of the scenario. Each scenario should be thought about how to solve it, and the scenario should be replicated as close as possible to a scenario that plays out on the job. There are some additional considerations that should be implemented into emergency management training curriculum. This slide shows three common instructional design mechanisms. First is a concept of retention. A lot of times, a knowledge, skill, or attitude learned in training will be used on the job soon after training. This means that soon after training is learned, an employee practices that thing that is learned so it is easily remembered. Also, is generalization. Generalization is the ability to extend a specific trait, skill, and attitude to a slightly different scenario. Traditional training methods typically focus on everyday transactions and actions that are most likely to occur. This means training is based on making sure employees know how to perform those situations. Also, most training programs focus on building individual knowledge and individual skills and hope that teamwork skills follow. However, just because someone is smart does not necessarily mean they are going to work well in a team. The next slide shows an explanation of how these same concepts of retention, generalization, and teamwork should be implemented for emergency managers to learn. For emergency managers, they do not immediately use the knowledge, skills, and attitudes learned in a class or training session on the job. This means that retention of training is not immediately applied, and there is a longer time span between the time an emergency manager learns about a knowledge, skill, or attitude and the time this knowledge, skill, or attitude is applied in an emergency management situation. To help solve this problem, the teacher should create a mastery-oriented learning environment. Mastery-oriented learning focusing on developing new skills and understanding their task. Master-oriented teachers try and get learners to try new things and try hard. This is a little bit unlike performance-oriented learning because performance-oriented learning is centered more on scores and the ability to perform well on exams. Performance-oriented learning is more normative, and scores are compared to peers. Trainers have the ability to create a mastery-oriented atmosphere of learning. Therefore, they should focus on creating a mastery-oriented atmosphere of learning. Next, emergencies and disasters are not predictable. Even after extensive training, emergency responders are likely to be confronted with unexpected challenges, so responders are required to adapt and improvise behaviors. In order to enhance generalization for emergency managers and emergency service workers, opportunities should be provided for discovery learning. And teamwork is a necessity in emergency management because the magnitude and complexity of some events require coordinated responses by different teams or groups. For instance, during a hurricane, a fire department from several different jurisdictions may be needed. Further, multiple government departments like police, fire department, and paramedics need to be coordinated from different jurisdictions. Also, there are different kinds of personalities coming from different sectors that need to be managed. The good thing is that teamwork skills can be taught. Teamwork competencies and attitudes that should be taught include adaptability, situational awareness, performance monitoring, interpersonal skills, coordination skills, communication skills, assertiveness, and decision-making skills. If response teams improve these skills, they will be better as a team. Another good way to build unity is through cross-training. The goal is for all team members to acquire a working knowledge of the tasks performed by their teammates and the interconnections among these tasks. This can clarify the jobs and functions that each responder is performing and this will help to minimize confusion. In conclusion, emergency management coordinators, emergency service responders, and civil servants play extremely important roles before, during, and after emergencies. In order to educate and train these workers, learning models should incorporate adult learning theory characteristics into training activities and educational curriculum.